pleasures I've known. Tell me, Lord, what did I ever do that was worth love from you and the kindness you've shown? Lord, help me, Jesus, I've wasted it, so help me, Jesus. I know what I am. Oh, and now that I know that I've needed you, so help me, Jesus. My soul's in your hands. Try me, Lord, if you think there's a way I can try to repay all I've taken from you. And maybe, Lord, I can show someone else what I've been through myself on my way back to you. Lord, help me, Jesus, I've wasted it, so help me, Jesus. I know what I am. Oh, and now that I know that I've needed you, so help me, Jesus. My soul's in your hands. Lord, help me, Jesus, I've wasted it, so help me, Jesus. I know what I am. Oh, and now that I know that I've needed you, so help me, Jesus. My soul's in your hands. I'm only human. I'm just a woman. Help me believe in what I could be and all that I am. Show me the stairway I have to climb. Lord,
morning. Thank you for tuning in and joining us for our service again this Sunday. Wherever this video finds you, I hope and pray that you are doing well and that you are getting through this very strange and different time that we're living in. Today I want to take a few minutes of your time to share with you on a topic which I'm sure you are familiar with and heard a lot about. I want to talk about getting back to normal. Now, as I say that phrase, I'm sure many of your minds are going back and saying, yes, I've heard that many times, or I've said that many times, and even myself, I've used that phrase over and over the past few weeks. It seems to be the general feeling of everybody around us. We just can't wait to get back to normal. And for each person, getting back to normal consists of different things. For some people, that means getting the time to spend with friends and family again, to hang out and to have gatherings. For others, it means getting back to shopping and browsing around stores. For some, it means getting back to their education and their schooling. For others, it means being able to enjoy places like movie theaters and bowling alleys and cafes again. For me, when I think about going back to normal, I think about enjoying all the takeout restaurants again, because I'm trying to stay away from them out of precaution during this time. And if I asked you today what you look forward to getting back to normal, I'm sure there would be many different answers this morning. See, we all have our own view of what going back to normal is, and for each of us that could look drastically different. However, it is something that we find comfort in, the idea of getting back to our normal. But today I want to challenge us a little to consider if going back to normal is actually what we want to do. See, because our normal just doesn't consist of the things that we want to do again or we'd like to be able to do again. But our normal consists of our old and usual schedules and way of life. Our normal is often the thing that we complained so much about before and we hoped and wanted to get out of. It means that we go back to our schedules which are filled with our obligations and things that we add to busy ourselves. It means that we go back to the stress and worry of trying to balance our normal routine, trying to meet all of our deadlines and our obligations, trying to fit in all of our must-dos, while often sacrificing many of our priorities and things that we want to spend time on. But instead of wanting to go back to normal, what if we took the time that we're within this situation to find a better option of normal to go back to? What if during this time God is trying to lead us to a new place, to lead us to a new way of life, a new beginning? What if through this time God is trying to get rid of some of the busyness that we've filled our lives with, and in return fill it with a longing and desire for Him? What if our normal, when we go back, is based solely around God? What if our normal started and ended each day with our dedication and devotion to Him? How would we be impacted? See, I believe that we would all discover a new, a better, and a healthier normal. A lifestyle that would be more fulfilling as we move forward. And as I think about that, my mind goes back to a passage of Scripture which I'd like to share with you today to help us in this process. And it's found in Luke chapter 10, verse 38 to 42. And here's what it says. As Jesus and His disciples were on their way, He came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to Him. She had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what He said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparation that had to be made. She came to Him and asked, "Lord, don't you care that my sister has left me to do the work by myself? Tell her to help me." "Martha, Martha," the Lord answered, "you are worried and upset about many things, but only one thing is needed. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her." See, oftentimes our normal and view of normal is like that of Martha. See, even though Jesus was her guest, and there was much that she could gain by setting aside time to focus on Him and listen to His words, she was caught up in everything that had to be done. She saw a list of tasks that needed to be completed and didn't see the time where she could actually sit and learn from his words. She chose to sacrifice time to learn from him for time to take care of what she thought needed to be done. Like Mary, our normal many times consists of our worry and stress over schedules that are piled full of errands and obligations. We often find ourselves trying to balance everything in our life, running back and forth, completing this task and that task, solving this worry and making plans so that we don't have the stress tomorrow. There always seems to be so many things that needs our attention and time. We then typically fill our lives with what we think will offer us the best outcome moving forward, while many times putting our relationship with God as the lowest priority. By that I mean that we often busy ourselves to the extent that having time to devote to God, to learn from His Word, to grow through our practices, and relying on His direction and help becomes very scarce. And other times it just becomes another obligation to add to our schedule of normal. The normal that many of us are used to is a normal that is surrounded around us. See, as Martha goes to Jesus to talk about her sister, we can see this attitude very clearly from her. She says, "My sister has left me to do all of the work by myself. Won't you tell her to come help me?" Which is exactly where we find ourselves most times. You see, in our normal, we are so concerned about us. Many times our normal consists of, I have to get this done so that I can have this outcome. I must do this so that I can shape it in the way that I want it. I have to look out to myself because I am the only one who can do that. I have to worry about this problem because it is mine to deal with. I have to stress over this because it's bigger than I know how to handle and more than I know how to solve. Our normal often consists of me filling my day with so many things to shape my future around how I want it to be. But what if we took Mary's approach moving forward? What if instead of going back to our normal, we took her approach and found a better option to normal? You see, even though Mary no doubt knew what things needed to be done, knew what preparations had to be made, she instead set priority, and her focus and attention was first on Jesus and His words. See, she realized that anything else that needed to be done could occur later. The most important thing was focusing on what Jesus had to offer, on what she could learn from Him during that time. See, we, like Mary, need to make many decisions in our life on what our priority will be on each and every day. There are many things that compete for our attention daily, that consume our time, and if we allow, it can fill our days with worry, stress, and anxiety. The main thing is that we are able to look at our lives and our schedules and distinguish between the things that are unnecessary and unimportant with the things that are priority for us. Let us take the advice of Jesus as He offers it to Martha. He said, "You are worried and upset about many things, yet there is only one thing that is needed." See, in our life we can get so wrapped up with the busyness of everything, in how hectic and chaotic our times can get. We can fall into worrying and stressing every day about everything that is happening and occurring. And our normal can quickly become so overwhelming to us. But know that even though our normal did most likely consist of all of this, that there is a better option. One that only one thing matters in it. And an option that offers us so much promise. That one thing that matters most in our normal is our dependence on God. This is so important because when we focus first upon Him and we depend upon Him, then everything else in our lives will slowly fall into place with His help. You see, all throughout His Word, He offers us great advice and great words of wisdom to help us through many different situations in our lives. He also gives us so many promises that will help shape and mold our normal into a better option of normal. There are promises which will lead us to a life that is more fulfilling as we live each and every day. And today, I want to offer you a few of those promises as we look forward to starting a better option of normal. And as we begin this new option of normal that is solely dependent upon God, we can be sure of a few things. That first, we can let go of all worry when we are dependent upon Him. Luke chapter 12, verse 22 to 26 says, "Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or your body and what you will wear. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothes. Consider the birds. They do not sow or reap. They do not have storerooms or barns, yet God feeds them. And how much more valuable are you than the birds?" The second promise is that when we depend solely upon God and we have a normal that is relying upon Him first, then we do not need to fear. Isaiah 41:10 says, "So do not be afraid, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." See, as we make God priority in our life, we can be sure of those two promises. That no matter what occurs in our life, that no matter what we go through, that no matter what situations we find ourselves in, that we do not need to worry or fear. Because we have a God who we can trust. We have a God who can be relied upon. We have a God who is always faithful. And He will be there in every situation of our lives to help us, to strengthen us, and to uphold us no matter what the situation. The third promise is that as we have priority with God, we can be sure that He will shape our future and will make our path one that is incredible. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all of your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all of your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight." We know that we can trust God with our future, that He will always lead us to things that are best for us, through situations that will grow us and strengthen us, that He will always be there to help us in those situations. And the last promise is that as we have priority in our normal with God, then we can be sure that He will always be with us and will never leave us. Philippians 1 verse 6 says, "Being confident of this, that He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Jesus Christ." See, God will never leave you in your life. He will always be there. And as much as we are willing, He will continue to help you, to strengthen you, to teach you, to grow you, and to shape your life into one that is so fulfilling. So I ask you today if you would join with me in making the commitment of not returning back to our normal. The normal that was so busy that we really didn't know what to do. A normal where we were so chaotic and hectic that our priority of God and our relationship with Him was put on the back burner. But instead, through this time that we're in, let us find a better option of normal. One that keeps God in the center, that makes Him priority, that is dependent upon Him. One that focuses on Him first, so that everything else in our life can slowly fall into place with His help and with His guidance. So this morning, would you pray with me as we trust God no matter what this life brings our way? God, we just bow before you to thank you again for this day. God, we thank you for who you are. We know that you are a faithful God, that you are trustworthy, and that we can rely upon you. So God, I pray that as we are going through this time and we are looking forward to getting back to normal, I just pray that you will help us find a better option to normal. One that is centered around you, one that is devoted to you, and one where we allow you to help us and to lead us in our life. So God, I just pray that you will strip away all of the busyness that we had, all of the things that our mind was focused on, and that you will help us just to focus solely on you. Because we know that we can trust you and that you are there with us. So God, I just pray for those watching that you will begin to take away all of their worries, all of their fears, and that you will restore it with your hope and your promise for their lives. God, I pray that they will be able to trust you today with their life and their future and know that you will be with them every step of the way. God, we just pray this all in and through your name. Amen.